Hello. Yes, I am on the correct thing. Let me just make sure it is coming on. Hi, I am Ms Chanelle, language success coach, and today I'm here to give you the secrets to why you don't need formats for the section 2 question in CSEC English A. And if you're not familiar with what that question is, that question is the one which features reports and formats. And a lot of people think of that question as the format question. However, if you keep thinking of that question as a format question, you are misdirecting yourself for that question. And actually, it's a question I do not like. I absolutely hate that question. However, it is actually one of the easiest sections in the exam. How it's set up, it's fairly easy to get marks for it. Plus, it's the most, no, it's not the most, it's the least stressful question in the paper. It's really low bar in terms of, not in terms of intelligence and in terms of how you attack it, but in terms of what they require from you. It's really an honestly simple question. And I often get a lot of students who, when they get this particular question, they're able to, as we say in Trinidad, mash it up because it's so fairly simple. All right, so what I'm going to do is help you understand how to actually view this particular question. All right, because it's simple, it's easy, it's low intensive, it can help you build a lot of marks and make your life easier for the exam. So basically what this question is, it's, again, CXC doesn't name their section. It's just section B. It's a pet peeve of mine. I have many with this paper. However, this particular section is actually related to summary writing. Yes, it is related to summary writing. How is it related to summary writing? It is related to summary writing because it's all about facts. Summary is all about facts, factual information, facts. The difference is that with summary, you're going to take the facts and render them or rewrite them in a shorter form, right? The focus is on facts, but in brevity, short form, right? Condensed information. With this particular question in section B, which again, I call it the informative, you are focusing on facts, right? You're definitely focusing on facts, but you're now going to create documentation. I have to pause. This is so real world and non-real world at the same time. But anyway, I'll try not to let my natural irritation at this question to shine through. But the purpose of section B is to look at a situation. Remember that word because we are going to come back to that word, situation. To look at a situation and create correspondence that is applicable, factually applicable, realistically applicable to this situation. Yes, that is what it is. That's the simplest way I can explain this. So essentially, a lot of people think of this as the format question because this is the one question where CXC loves a little surprise in the exam. I don't know why, but you don't know until you open the paper what type of format you're going to get. I'm just going to go through the format, but remember, formats are actually not the most important thing about this, all right? Yes, I'm going to repeat myself. Formats are not the most important thing about this question. If you've ever seen my informative rubric explanation from the syllabus, you already know what I'm going to say. If you haven't seen the video, it's linked below in the description. All right. But I'm going to go to actual past papers and let's see what some of the formats have been. So in Jan 2021, why am I not in chronological? I should go in chronological order. And for some reason, I only pulled up Jan papers. But Jan 2020, there was a notice. You know, I honestly think this was the last year notice came. But there was a notice in that year. No, it's not a bad one. In Jan 2021, there was a report. Okay, a report came. And in Jan 2024, this year, letter of inquiry. Right? So essentially, the formats that do come are as per the syllabus. The syllabus is report, letter, email, notice, and article. The syllabus has article, however, I've never seen an article come ever since they moved to this new syllabus. So we'll forget articles for now. Notices, like I said, the last time I think a notice came was Jan 2020. But notices are one, report is one, letter, email. Personally, I don't think they're bringing notices too much because, y'all, you don't have to write much for a notice and you can get nearly 30 marks. If you guys get a notice any year, just say, thank the Lord, hallelujah. Again, thank the Lord, hallelujah. But I think they're going to stop notices because, honestly, it's way too easy to get marks with notices, right? But this question is really, you're using the format to help you know what type of correspondence you're going to write. So that's where formatting is important. They tell you what type of correspondence you're going to write. So it's pretty easy. You don't have to figure out that it's a notice or a report or a letter or email. They literally tell you what it's going to be. No. Hold on, let me just make a little note here. Do you need to learn the formats? Yes. Okay. I am not, as a language success coach, I am not saying no. You do need to know the format. You do need to know the difference between how you put the address and the salutation in a letter versus an email, which just needs an email address and not your physical mailing address, right? You do need to know that a report needs to have a subject. You need to know about the type of correspondence, and actually this part is key because this will help you with the situation as well. For example, in the 2024 Jan paper, they went so far to say it's a letter of inquiry to a reservations manager because you're booking a trip. That's going to tell you, okay, it's a letter about inquiring about something, all right? And I'm already hinting at the core factor you're supposed to focus on for this particular section, all right? So knowing the differences or the different elements that are required in each type of formatting is important. I'll let you know how much it's worth. And that's where I would say a lot of you guys are overdoing the rundown the format thing, all right? But it's important to know about what the purpose behind that type of correspondence. So for example, reports are nearly almost written for serious incidents. In fact, reports, I think, confuse people for this exam because reports that they require are not like book reports. They don't want book reports. It's nearly almost what I call an incident report. So it's always something happened and you need to tell somebody about it. And it's nearly almost always in case of serious matters, serious concerns. So for example, in 2021 January, it's an accident. You are a bystander and you witness an accident. So you are submitting a report that the insurance agent requested since you are a witness. So it's something serious that happened. I think one that came, is it 2023 or 2022? It's a accident that happened involving students who were on a field trip. It's a business class, they were on a field trip. So it's an actual accident that happened that you're writing a report about. So you see, this is not like pleasant stuff. It's something serious, something grave, something surprising, something unexpected, and you're writing a report for due process, meaning for something else to happen. All right? That's why you're writing a report. That's very important to know about formatting. That's why you need to understand formatting. Why am I, why would this correspondence be necessary? Why would it fit into this situation or context? Okay, I'm giving you hints again about what's really important in this paper. And then an email. Emails and letters are a lot more open-ended. You can write emails and letters for serious incidents or situations, or you can write them just to say, hi, Auntie Merle, thank you so much for giving me that iPad. I totally appreciate you. I definitely needed to further my studies. Right? It can be something very light-hearted. I think one of the first ones that came, one of the first reports, like, not reports, one of the first informatives that came was about letting your classmate know about alternative arrangements for your teacher being absent because she's going on a Spanish trip. And that totally confused students, because I remember one of my students came back. She's like, Miss, I was in English and they were asking me about Spanish. What's up with that? So CXC learned their lesson from that. They're not going to mention a foreign language, hopefully, in the exam and confuse you little, lovely, beautiful, monolinguistic people, okay? So there's that. So I believe what CXC is doing now to help you hone in on letters and emails, they're putting information like letter of inquiry, letter of complaint. Hopefully they're doing things like that. So you need to understand, why would we use this type of correspondence? Even for a notice, if you guys are lucky enough to get a notice, I'll celebrate with you guys. Even if you get a notice, right? A notice is a very brief piece of correspondence to make you aware of an event or a particular circumstance. It's always very, very brief. So what's the one that came in 2020? 2020 is student council elections, right? Student council elections, that's just a one-off event. So it's just going to be a little, think of just, it's going to go on a poster in your school. That's how simple it is. That's how uniquely simple it is. That's why they're not bringing it back, guys, I suspect. 30 marks for writing like a mini paragraph, less than a summary. No, way too easy. They can't give you guys that. But anyway, that's what you need to know about formats. Why do you need to use this? Okay, why is this type of correspondence applicable? It's grading, so I'm going to rush now because I hate to talk when it's ready. So here's why I am telling you formats are not as important as you guys think. Formatting for this question gets 3 marks. If you don't believe me, go check the syllabus. Or you can check my video down below. I actually shared my screen and did my recording, so you are looking at the actual syllabus. It's 3 marks. A lot of you guys are fighting up with formatting for 3 marks. You could still mess up your formatting. Don't mess up your formatting because we want those 3 marks, okay? But you could still slightly mess up your formatting and still get good marks. I have marked some of my learners, and instead of the full 3, like they leave out some things, I'll have to give them 2, or slightly messy and I have to give them 1. And because they hit the other categories, and again, if you really want to see what the other categories are, go check that video that's linked below. They get pretty decent marks. Some of them even get like early 20s out of 30. Right? Because here is what is important to this question. You need to understand context. You need to understand the situation. If it is you are looking at the Jan 2024 paper and you cannot understand, this is sounding like the summary live, isn't it? It's sounding like summary live. It is. Because understanding is key. Comprehension is key. If you read this question from Jan 2024 and you can't understand that they are planning to go on a trip, and for a trip, because it's a trip involving students, you need to ask pertinent questions for travel. If you don't know that some of the pertinent questions that you ask somebody in terms of reserving travel would be cost of tickets, the dates, how many people, and they actually have this information listed here, you have a hard time with this question. So please, when you are looking at this question, please, 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 please take into consideration context and situation. This also means the relationship between the person who's doing the correspondence as well as the person who's going to receive it. Because if it is, for example, in this case, it's you're a student. Yes, you are the president of the French club. You're a student. And you are going to write to the reservations manager who is already an adult and you do not know this person. Your language is going to be respectful. The same applies to reports. Languages and reports, highly respectful. Standard English, no colloquialisms. Because you're talking about a serious issue and it's going to be submitted probably for further action. That's how reports work in the real world. So these are actual real world items in a sense. You must think of the full situation three-dimensionally. My students who tend to struggle with this, and even some of those who struggle, they still get fairly decent marks. But if you struggle with this, is that they miss some of the details. Like for example, someone writing about the Jan 2024 with a letter of inquiry and completely leaving out the fact that the information is required by a certain deadline in order to plan for the trip. And all of that information is written in the question. So what you really need, what's really key for this question is one, understanding context, understanding relationships, and actually understanding the okay, I'm going to repeat myself. It's really two things. But I would still say if I have to do the third thing, is understanding the correspondence, right? Because to a certain degree, reports are always very formal register standard English. Meaning it's very, very formal. All right? You're not going to say it behooves me to advise you. That might be a way too formal. But for example, like I had a student doing a notice once, and this is where language is so important for these. He did a notice, and it was a question I came up with. It's in my workbook that's going to come out. Well, sorry, not in time for you guys in 2024. It's going to come up for 2025, 2026 students. But it's someone who owns a local, like a mini mart, and he's advising of change to working hours. And my student started it with, "Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I've been advised to inform you of da da da." And it was so formal, super, super, super formal. That kind of formality, a business owner in a little village, he's not going to use that type of formality. It was too uncomfortable. So he lost marks for language. It was not realistic. It was not realistic. Did he lose marks for language? Oh no, my bad. He would not have lost marks for language. He would have lost marks for relevance. He would have lost marks for relevance. Yeah. Relevance, that's under content. And appropriateness, which is also under content as well. So if you want to know more about what I just spoke about, I advise you to watch that video on informative with the rubric. It's going to be less noisy than this one because the rain is coming down here and it's annoying me. But this video, I hope it did help shed some light on what you need to do to focus for this question, because again, I'm not a fan of this question. It definitely is being put across in a much smarter way for you guys, and it is actually a very low intensive question, and it's a question that you guys can really take and make those marks count. All right, really make those marks count. So I hope this helps you and that you do even better for your exam, and as always, sending this information with love and success. Take care.